Hello, all, and welcome to our 100 episode. This week's going to be a little bit of a change from the norm. What we're going to do is, rather than having what we've been playing and watching and doing a new movie, me and Daz are both going to talk about our favorite movies. So, Jaws for me and Memento for Daz. So, stick around. Yes, hello, welcome to our 100 episode. We couldn't really think of a way to celebrate it because we didn't bother our asses planning. So Daz had the idea of, look, rather than just fuck all in the cinema, why don't we just have a chat through our two favorites? And I'd love if some of you at home could get involved in this. Send us some emails and texts and stuff about what your favorite movies are. Do you think that our movies are shit, or what are your favorites? Please send them on. We'd love to have a chat about them with you. So yeah, like we'll just, as I said at the start, like we're both going to do movies, and we're doing them as well on their anniversaries. I'm doing Jaws, and it's 50 years old, and you're doing Memento, which is 25 years old. And because these are older movies, for those of you at home, usually we would be doing spoiler-free stuff, but you have to have seen these movies by now. There's no way you're getting spoiler-free.
If you haven't, shame on you.
For a movie that's actually older than me and Daz. Like, so there's no way. We're just going to have a yap through them. I reckon we'll kick off with Memento because it's that's a newer of the movies, I guess. It's just a fucking fantastic film, and I know how much you adore it. This is it's a lot of people's introduction to Christopher Nolan. I know he had following before it, but a lot of people, I think, would always just think, oh yeah, that's Christopher Nolan's first movie. It's not really, but it's so interesting watching it back. I watched it back because we were doing this, and I forget how raw it is when you look at how polished so much of his stuff is now. This is his style. Allowing him to do his style in its infancy. Because I'm sure, like, he just made the following. This is, okay budget, but a great cast and a great story. But this is before he's got the full support of all these studios to let him do whatever the fuck he wants.
Absolutely.
So that's to make a movie like this. It's brave, and it was just an absolute blast to watch it back. But why don't you want to give us a premise, or what you want to do?
Yeah. For anyone not familiar, as I said before, shame on you. It's Christopher Nolan's second movie. After the following, but the following was like a self-funded movie that he made kind of with his mates on weekends over the course of a year. And obviously, like in the following, there was his kind of non-linear structure was a bit of a showcase in that film, and it kind of elevated what is kind of a mediocre story to more kind of lofty heights, and obviously garnered a lot of attention from people. So his next movie, his actual first proper kind of movie, gets a budget of, estimated 9 million. And like even Brad Pitt was down to star at one point, and you're just going, holy shit. And people just obviously read the script and were blown away by the fucking script. And so Brad Pitt is not in it. So Guy Pearce took his role, and he plays Lenny Shelby, who's a guy with anterograde amnesia, like short-term memory loss, and essentially he can't make new memories, which is an interesting premise on its own. But he spends the movie in the search of the killer of his wife, and he, because of his short-term memory, uses clues like tattoos and handwritten notes and Polaroids to try and track down the killer. And he's aided by Joe Pantoliano as Teddy, who's fucking, everybody loves him. He's brilliant. And Carrie-Anne Moss, who was fresh off The Matrix a year previous, and gets a lot more to do here with a kind of a meteor role, kind of complex character, and she's fantastic in it as well. And yeah, I mean, like I remember when I first saw it, like vivid in my memory, like back in like 25 years ago. So my girlfriend, like 5:30 showing on a Saturday, and my mind was so scrambled after we came out of it. But the only thing I was thinking of is, how do I communicate to my girlfriend that I have to go back into the cinema? And not that I want to, but I have to. And it's just like, we had plans to go drinking and meet friends and stuff. And I was like, I just can't. If I did, I'd just be sitting there, my head a mush. So I walked her to her bus stop. She went home. Relationship didn't go too well after that. And I went to see it again. And then the following day I went to see it 3 more times. And it just blew my fucking socks off. And I think like when you look back at it and like it's obviously Christopher Nolan, you can see, as you're saying, you can see all his specific directorial and filmmaking traits are here in that movie. But a lot of people would probably, if they haven't seen this, or even if they have seen this, he would be more known as like, oh, he's got the big budgets and the big actors and he commands everybody and, he can get any actor he wants and all this kind of stuff. But this is kind of raw. First movie kind of, he's really kind of cutting his teeth on this movie. He must have been absolutely fucking terrified making it because the premise alone is so wild and so complex. And say, like reading the script, like I read the script after seeing the movie, but if you've read it before it's made, it's like when people talk about, or like Lawrence Fishburne talks about reading The Matrix, and he's just like, okay, yeah, okay. And Wachowski's going, okay, do you understand it? He's like, no, but I trust you. Same thing with this. It's like, how do you even convey the idea to producers to get 9 million, like how people trusted him in that? But it's known as the movie. Oh, that's the movie that goes backwards, and the guy with the memory thing, and that just does it such an injustice.
Yeah.
I think it's so much more complex than that. It's so much more. It's not a gimmick. Later on in some, like throughout Nolan's career, like he messes with time and non-linear structure and narratives and stuff like that. But more often than not, it's not so much a gimmick. It's something like in Following, it's kind of a gimmick. Let's say in Oppenheimer and Dunkirk, it's a tool used to heighten the story and deliver it to the audience in a different way, a more kind of crazy way or whatever that kind of gets into our synapses. But with this, it's integral to the story because we are almost getting the information. We're as confused as he is because we don't really know what the fuck is going on because you're seeing a story backwards, but it's playing out forwards.
But we're also getting a story forwards at the same time. That's what I love.
Which is
the
best
color.
thing.
Yeah, the color. I mean, that's between the color is as we're getting that story as it goes backwards, and that is our main story. But I love that that's then juxtaposed with the black and white scenes, which are basically playing out in the order that they should proceed, and it's great because they will ultimately collide, and that's the great thing about it. Like, and I still have questions. Of course, I've seen it multiple times. I'm still watching it, going, did he? Like, I'm still finding it a bit confusing. I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't go and see it again the same day, but I was like, that meme of that with your one looking confused with all the maths and graphs and stuff around her. That's pretty much me kind of going, wait, hang on, wait. Was he on the phone? Who was he on the phone to? Oh, no, wait, it was him. Was it him? I was just complete. And then, of course, the more I watch it and pick up different things and some of it I think is left open to interpretation, like, because there's a scene where he's talking towards the end about with Teddy, and we're talking about King being in the home or the mental hospital, Sammy Jankis, and for a split second it changes to Guy Pearce. It changes the thing. You're like, oh shit! So is this his story? Is he the one? Was he there the whole time? But then, at the same time, if that was him, I don't think some of the other parts of the movie sync up, and it's kind of like, I'm not sure if that was him or is that, because we hear your man saying, or we think we hear your man say, Jimmy, whatever, saying Sammy. And he's like, how does he know Sammy's name?
Yeah.
Does that mean he's... Yeah. But did we actually hear? Did he just hear that? Because I think your man was already dead at that point when we hear him say that. So I'm not entirely sure what's real.
There's bits where even Teddy kind of goes, is kind of alluding to that, like, Sammy was the con man and it's actually Guy Pearce. Like, and it was him and his wife. His wife tested him about his memory and giving him the insulin shots over and over. And that's a horrible thing when you see it with Sammy and his wife, that she's just sitting there and she's just testing him, that like she thinks he's lying about this whole thing, and he gives her shot after shot after shot and she just fucking dies there. But then when Teddy suggests it to Guy Pearce and he's like, well, my wife she wasn't a diabetic, but then he doubles up and he goes, she wasn't a diabetic, and then you get flashes of, and you're kind of going, is he messing with his own memory? Like, what is happening there?
Well, that's it. It's so unreliable. We know that yourself. Memories can be massively affected. I remember watching this documentary on, I think it was on Netflix actually, and it was about without memory, and they were talking about the 9/11, and these
Yeah,
people had these clear images in their head. I remember looking out the school window and
yeah, yeah.
seeing the smoke, blah blah, and then but then there are African couple. You couldn't have, because here's where the school is. Here's so they couldn't have actually seen it, but your brain just pieces together all these bits of
Mm,
information that you hear and imagined, and
mm.
your actual lived experience of being in whatever area, and it just throws it together. You have this clear
Yeah,
memory, but and that's why it can be so unreliable. Things like court and stuff,
yeah,
people's
yeah.
people's
And
witness testimony and stuff.
and Guy Pearce's character, he says that when they're sitting down with Teddy, and he's saying like memory can change the color of a car. You know, the it can change multiple things, but and this kind of touches into, I think, Inception as well, where it's like certain things, when like he's saying, I know when I lift up that coffee cup, I know the weight of it, I know what it's going to feel like. That kind of ties into Inception and their totems, and
Yeah,
some things but the color of a car, the color of someone's hair, what was said to you in passing in a lift, all these things can be misinterpreted by your brain. But like that, I think that's the best thing about the structure of it, where it gives you like the payoff and the twist in this arrives at the end of the movie, which is kind of the start of the story, or start of the color sequence of the story. So at the end, or at the start of the movie, you see the end and you see him killing Teddy. And then because it goes back through the narrative, and then when you see the twist is at the start of the story, when you realize this, like, it's heartbreaking, and it's also it's a gut punch, because this guy you've been following, you realize, oh fuck, he's so obsessed with feeling important and feeling self-worth by trying to find his wife's killer. Like, he almost doesn't want to find him. And when he's told by Teddy, look, we found him years ago and we killed him, but it did nothing because you didn't remember it. And then you woke up again and we had to find another guy, and another guy with, whose name is John and his surname is G. And when he tells Guy Pearce, like, I'm John G, my name's not Teddy, that's what my friends call me, I'm John G. And Guy Pearce just sits there and just looking at Lise go, can I allow myself to forget what you've just told me? The most important thing ever. And he goes,
yeah.
no, I will forget. And you're a John G, so you'll be my John G. So he takes down his license plate and he basically selects him to be his next victim, to be his next prey. So he's almost like this psychotic amnesiac serial killer who just keeps, he doesn't want it to end. And that is, and the fact that that's happening at the start of the story, but the end of the movie, that's why the structure is so important to the movie.
You think I just want another puzzle to solve? Another John G to look for? You're a John G. So you can be my John G.
Where do you like to think that he ends up after that? Because like we know that the phone calls he's having the whole time, the black and white scenes are with Teddy, and Teddy has been using him basically as a hitman. He's basically been using him to kill other people, telling him, this is the guy you're after, because he knows he's going to forget. But Teddy,
everyone's taking advantage of him. Yeah.
Exactly, everyone takes advantage, and this is the guy who's been setting him up and giving him the purpose. Now it's for Teddy's own ill-gotten gains. He wants that drug money from Jimmy. He wants whatever else. He's just using him for his stuff. But once he kills John G at the end or start of the movie or whatever, once he kills Teddy, there's no one to feed him these people anymore. So all he's left with now are the tattoos, and he'll look for the reg number maybe again because he's got that tattooed. But this time the reg number is gone because there's nobody owns it. Teddy's already dead. Yeah. So I where does Leonard? Sorry, where does Leonard end up?
No, it's kind of it's one of those where you kind of go, there's so many questions as to what could happen, where could he go, what's the next part in his story.
And thank God for Christopher Nolan, because some other cunt would make a sequel.
Would make that. Yeah. And like 20 years later, if Interstellar didn't do so well and he had a couple of bad hits, he's like, I'm coming out with Memento 2, more Memento. It's like, fuck off, man. But yeah, just the fact that it's, decent budget, but like it's kind of a three-hander essentially. But like Guy Pearce is personally one of my favorite actors of all time, and this kind of cemented it. This and Priscilla, when I saw him in those, he was just fucking mind-blowing, and he's just exceptional in this. His kind of dry humor as well punctuates a lot of those scenes, because Christopher Nolan was saying, when you're trying to like plan the movie going backwards. It's like from an editing point of view, you're thinking where are you going to cut, because they need to overlap, because you need to let people know that this scene is the end of the one that is preceding it and so forth. But those kind of cuts, there needs to be something, either a cliffhanger or something like that. But Guy Pearce just sells these so fantastically. Like the bit when it just cuts to a scene and he's running and he's like, running, okay, so where am I? And he sees the guy beside him running and he's like, oh, I'm chasing this guy. And he's like, the guy bolts after him. He's like, no, he's chasing me. That kind of shit. And it's just, and you remember that it's just genius editing, genius plotting, scripting, but his performance as well. You get a chuckle, and that there's so many of them that make it so easy to put it together. Because initially, first, like when I was watching it, you get the first couple of scenes going backwards, and then the kind of black and white, and you're kind of putting it together. But there's a lot to take in. But I think after about 20 minutes, you're in the stride, and you're like, okay, I kind of get this. It's still a lot. It's still quite confusing, and Christopher Nolan trope more than his non-linear stuff is that a lot of his movies take multiple viewings to actually get.
Yeah.
I'd always say to people, what do you mean you don't get Inception? But I came out of it getting it, about 80% of it, and going, what the Cillian Murphy? What the fuck was that? And then the third time I was like, I got it. And Tenet, I still don't know what the fuck's going on with that. But with this, yeah, the second viewing and multiple viewings after that, things kind of change. You learn more, you see more. Like Carrie-Anne Moss's character, every time I'd watch that, it kind of changed my opinion on her, that she was like the bitch, and then she's actually she's kind of a victim, because she just turns up and looks in her boyfriend's car and it's someone else wearing a suit. Just like, okay, this guy's murdered my boyfriend, and she is like, yeah, this, like that scene with her when she goes out to the car and she gets Guy Pearce to punch her by slagging off his dead wife and stuff, because she's plotting something brilliant.
Yeah.
He punches her, she goes out the car and just sits there waiting. And you see earlier that she, like, I only saw it on a repeat viewing, the start of that scene, that she's talking to him, and she's going around, she removes all the pencils and pens. So then later on, when he's trying to say, okay, I need to say she's a bitch, don't trust her, he can't find any fucking pencils to write anything down. And then she just walks in the door again and he's reset. And it's just, there's just so many moments in this movie. You're just going, this fucking brilliant. I don't know how you did it. I just do not know how the fuck you did it. It's,
I love that. Yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes. That's because I think I kind of agree with you that, yeah, everybody is kind of using him, but I think I agree with you on Carrie-Anne Moss, because we see a little bit of that kind of her not wanting to be bad to him when she's in the bar, and they spit into the drink. So she's within, and she's like, he's actually going to drink it, and that's her kind of going. And then she stops him. She's like, "Oh no, look, I'll get you. I'll get you another one. That one's dusty or whatever," and gets him another. She didn't need to do it. He's not going to remember. It's not going to think. She didn't need to do it, but just the goodness that she is kind of takes over. But she does certainly take advantage of him. But that scene, I think, is just the panic. That's just you're trying to put. It's very difficult to put yourself into his shoes, because it's hard to grasp what it must be like to not be able to form new memories ever. To just constantly be living in the moment. And so that panic of him going, keep it, remember, focus, the desperation of just trying to get a pen just to get that note so that when he sees her again, he knows what's going up. And she's just literally gone out to the car, pulled back up, and the minute she walks in, he goes, what happened to your face? Like, what happened? And she's he's the one who smacked her. And it's just, oh, you poor bastard. Like, but it's one of my favorite scenes. Yeah, it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I absolutely love it. What do you think, actually? Because I know we're talking on the performances, but like this, as you said, came out only a couple of years after Matrix. Matrix was 98 or 99, was it?
Was it just the following year? Yeah.
Yeah. So you would think that she would have had offers coming in from all over the place. So like for her to take a punt on this and low budget movie, and it ends up being, one of the most lauded, movies ever for people, for most people anyway, I think. I thought that's quite brave. I mean, she must have really fell in love with the script.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think obviously with The Matrix, it's fucking cool, the Wachowskis. I mean, you'd always think on certain movies, you don't know whether it's going to be a hit or not. But I imagine being on The Matrix, when you're doing all the choreography and fight scenes and just even from the behind the scenes of The Matrix, you kind of know this is like unlike anything you've ever experienced before. Just it's marvelous. But then when she's taking a punt on this, maybe she was loving the fact that she didn't couldn't understand the script either or something. Just kind of going, this is kind of maybe wacky's my kind of thing.
Maybe she's just happy she didn't have to be stuck up in wires and a
fucking skin tight leather. But she obviously looked at the character, and there's so much in it. It's multi-layered. It's complex. She gets a lot of stuff to do and I think same with Pantaleone, that they get, because they're acting against somebody who's unlike any kind of character you've acted like before, where Carrie-Anne Moss in one scene gets to act sympathetic, honest, then maniacal and mischievous and kind of taking advantage of somebody and all these things. And that's just in one scene that she has to do. So you can imagine, like after the Matrix, she's probably just jumping at this, kind of going, this could be something fucking special. But the character alone, yeah, I'd say even if the script is difficult to grasp or whatever, you get a sense from that character that you could sink your teeth into that, and she fucking does. And it was brilliant, and really expected to see a lot more of her in these type of roles after that, but she kind of deviated a bit to TV. But yeah, and to get Joe Pantaleone as well from the fucking Matrix as well, so like bring him along as well. Like he's just, I've never seen him in anything, even when he's an asshole, even when he's a shithead, that he's just not so much lovable, but you just gravitate towards him. It's just that smile, whether it's a maniacal smile or a fucking cheesy smile or a warm smile. You just go, this guy is he's just a gem, absolutely a gent. And we saw him do a little talk at Comic-Con a few years ago. And such a fucking nice guy. But yeah, he's just phenomenal as well. And as a three-hander, they deliver on all accounts. I think it's fantastic. But like, I guess we touching on cinematography. I mean, Wally Pfister.
Did you say Pfister? Is it Pfister or Feister? I always thought it was Feister.
I call him Pfister because it's just hilarious if his name is Pfister.
If his name, it'd not be worse. If his first name was Willie, it'd be worse. Willie Pfister. He might.
He definitely changed that. But like he was working with Nolan on everything up to Dark Knight and Inception, and kind of stopped after that. But he's this movie, just for the budget, looks fantastic. It's like, yeah, budgeting like 9 million, made about 40 million, which is straight away. I mean, not only was it a towering success in terms of a film, but it made a bit of bank as well, which meant that like the rise of Nolan, like after this one, I think next was like Insomnia, working with fucking
Robin Williams, or no, not Robin Williams,
Al Pacino.
Yeah, Al Pacino. Yeah.
Yeah, within 2 years, you're working with fucking Al Pacino on it. But even like the score, I can't remember the guy, Julian something. Guy who did the score hasn't done much, but the score is fantastic. Even like the opening credits, the way it has just the credits over the Polaroid in his hand, just being like developed in reverse. It's just fucking fantastic. But it's really, I just think in every aspect of it, like I think he just created like a masterful movie that it's almost like it kind of subverts the whole mystery thriller, and just kind of with the fact that the twist is at the beginning of the story, which you're told at the end of the movie. I just love how bizarre that is, and it's kind of clever, funny, thrilling. It's like, and the scripts, like, I don't know if you ever read what it's based on. His brother Jonathan's short story Memento Mori.
No, I never read the short story. No,
it's brilliant. I think it's online, something like 10 or 11 pages. But that, you read that and you kind of go, that it's just an amazing story. But it's not. It's not one of those like, oh, that's the story, and we'll just expand it out. It's the same kind of concept, but it's told very, very trippy indeed. Is fucking incredible. And but yeah, it's just. It's more than just the backwards movie for me. I think it's just an astonishingly crafted movie. Like, it's multiple layers, there's so much depth to it, and it just showcases Nolan's like effortless command over complex narratives. And it's not just like, oh, he just does things out of time and stuff. When you do that, like, it can very easily go fucking tits up. Very much like ask Zack Snyder, it's got to get his name in, but yeah, it's a movie that like made Nolan who he is today. But yeah, it's just, for me, it's sublime filmmaking in every aspect, and I saw it, I think, 15 times in the cinema.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, twice, 3 times in one day. And yeah, trying to get a bus ride home after that, you just kind of, you don't know how to talk to anybody. It's like, what time is it? Just fucking, yeah, just amazing. And I love any excuse to watch it. Yeah. But
Yeah, like I think, yeah,
my favorite.
Nice one, Daz. Yeah, it's great to hear you talk so passionately about that movie. I know how much you love it. And it's an absolute fucking gem. And I think that, as you said, it did make, what was it, 4 times its budget pretty much.
Yeah,
But what I think the real success of it kind of took off after that, like after it, because people maybe started to know Christopher Nolan, maybe not even after Insomnia. It may even be Batman Begins, which is also had its anniversary this year. It's 20 years this year, which is insane to me.
Fucking mental.
Yeah, but so I think a lot of people maybe only started to get into him then, and then we had Inception and Interstellar and all the rest of it. But I think that it's kind of grown as the years have gone on, or people have kind of gone back to watch it, and that's great as well. I mean, because it is a movie it's not relying on any sort of heavy effects or anything that needs to be specific of the time. It's just it's going to be an ageless movie. This is going to be one that you'll be watching decades from now and going, yeah, this is still fucking fantastic. Whereas some of our 80s ones or 90s ones, you look back and you like them because they're cheesy. We go, it's a real 80s movie vibe. And that's kind of why you enjoy them. Whereas I think this is just an absolute timeless because it's such an interesting concept pulled off perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, rightly so. Well said.
Nice one, Daz. Well, let's have a quick chat then through my one. Which I think I'll get yapping away about this for the next few hours. So, Daz, you can sign off at any time, and I'll just keep on talking to the camera.
I'll tune back in tomorrow, lads.
So my favorite movie is Jaws from 1975, by the great
50 years, man.
50 years, yeah. Like I remember seeing this one as a kid, and I shouldn't have seen this as a kid, but I did. I remember seeing this and being terrified, going on a holiday, like in Spain as a kid. You're going with your parents, and there's me, my little sister. And you're only like fucking 7 or something in the pool, and I'm in the pool, going terrified because I keep having these visions of a fucking shark's going to appear. You're under the water, and you can hear clanging of maybe the ladder or something like that. And straight away, I'm getting visions of fucking great white sharks, like traumatized by this movie, and just absolutely. I suppose this is what started my love of horror. And this for me is creme de la creme when it comes to horror of how it's done, because it's not a cheap B movie, which easily it could have been, which is obviously with a million other shark movies that come out. So this one, Spielberg directed. It was based on a book by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb, among others. I think wrote the screenplay for it. This is one of the ones where I can, rare occasions of saying, this is so much better than the book. Like the book is, it's a good book. It is, but it's just, and it was like bestseller, number 1 bestseller for all the rest of it when the rights got bought. But the characters aren't likable. And that's one thing that this movie has that say some of the other horrors that we have don't. The people getting killed in other horrors, we've said it on the show, I couldn't wait for that person to get killed. Or I couldn't like Alien Romulus, and you're like the guy who's the dickhead, and you're like, oh yeah, can't wait. Yeah,
he's going to get it.
Whereas these people, for the most part, are quite likable. Like in the book,
don't want him to die.
They're not like in the book. Ellen Brody knows Roy Scheider's character.
They have an affair or something, don't
they? Like she knows him from when, and he's a younger person. She knew him, and he's back now, coming back to the island. And it is a 3 characters, but she ends up having an affair. She's got like rape fantasies and all this kind of stuff. Like it's and like the mayor, the mob are involved. The mayor is in with the fucking mafia and the mob. It's
too convoluted.
It's convoluted, but like I mean, it's just nobody's actually redeemable really in the book, and I think that's what's great about this. And I know it went through a billion reshoots and all the rest of it, but our main cast of, say, I suppose those 4 main casts, we count in Ellen Brody. We've got Roy Scheider playing Chief Brody. We've got Robert Shaw, amazing as Quint, and Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper. And the 3 of them just work fantastically together because they have such different energy. because you've got the chief, and yes, he's from this town. He's from the mainland, if you want, forever. But here now, when he's in New York, I think is where he's from originally. But now he's out in Amity, and it's he's not. He's the new sheriff in town almost. He's a new chief of police, and he doesn't fit in with all these people who are just their summer town. They like everything a certain way, and and he's used to proper ass crime. But he's not. He's still not a hard nose. He's still not pushy or angry with people. He just doesn't quite fit in. And then you compare that, say, to Quint, who is he's based on a bloke that lived on where this is all set when they were filming. There was a guy there because they used loads of the extras in the movie to play different parts, and he was based around this dude, this larger than life dude that everybody knew on the island, and he's that guy. And then we've got Hooper, who's kind of this nerdy guy, a little bit there for some of the comic relief, but he's got much more of an innocence to him, and he really sees the sharks as these beautiful things. His only reason to kill this shark is because of human life, otherwise he'd be just studying them. And I love that change between them. His Brody's fear of the water, Quint's deep hate for the sharks. It's just it's wonderful. And what I love as well about this is that it's a little bit different than a lot of movies we talk about where we have our setup and then our main bit and then our conclusion. This is very much a two-part movie. Like, it's almost split down the middle. We have our first part it's the shark attacks, all the shit that's happening on the island, and then we have them out at sea, and we could spend the whole podcast talking about what went on in the production, behind this, because it's what an absolute disaster how they managed to pull it together into what it was and what it is, which was probably
and how terrifying it must have been for Spielberg. He was fucking 26, and you've got this whole thing, and it's like, right, okay, and suddenly it's, as Richard Dreyfuss and he's told that story about a billion times, just like get the radio, the shark is not working. The shark is not working. He's just like, okay, the shark's not working. The water got into the electronics, which how someone didn't flag that. I don't know.
Well, it was something to do with the type of water as well, because they were originally the studio wanted to have it filmed in a tank on like a back lot.
Oh yeah.
And
Spielberg
was like, no,
ocean.
Has to be in the ocean, and of course it's salt water and all the rest ended up damaging this. And again, for them to trust him as well at that age, because they had a director already picked for the movie, and Spielberg read the script and he's like, oh my god, like if he drops out, I totally want to do it. And apparently the director was like, I don't know, he didn't even know what he was giving people his pitch for how he wants it. And he said, we're going to see the town in the background, and then what we'll do is we'll see like kind of the whale here in the front. And they were like, what? The whale? And Peter Benchley, who was like on site helping with the screenplay and rewrite, is like, I'm not having some arsehole who doesn't know the difference between a whale and a shark writing or directing this movie.
Piranha 4, right?
So they got Spielberg, but like the movie went like something, I think it was something like 250% or something over budget. It went like 3 times as long as it was supposed to.
This Spielberg said that screenwriter he was like rewriting scenes the day before. And this is not just Shaw's thing, which he redid himself, but they were saying like, because there's a lot of it involved the shark. They're just like, okay, now we got to make up for. There's a lot of running time here where we got to fill in the fucking blanks here. What the fuck are we going to do? And I think it's one of the greatest fuck ups in cinematic history. The fact that the shark kind of went tits up and changed the movie. Probably, like, who knows what that movie would have been like. It wouldn't have been this movie. It probably would have been more kind of what stuff was back then, where you see a lot more of creatures and that kind of
probably would have
horror schlock.
It would have pushed it towards. It would have pushed it towards being movie.
Absolutely, even with Spielberg's, fucking genius, but like, because Spielberg is the GOAT, like, and this fucking showcased it. But he was helped by this complete mishap. But it kind of just reshaped not only monster movies, but like cinema in general. It kind of, what you didn't see terrified you more, kind of because of this movie. And I mean, I don't know how it influenced so many movies afterwards, but like when you see, Alien or something like that 4 years later, and you it's another B movie kind of monster movie, but you don't see a lot of the creatures, and all the great movies in this genre after that kind of went on this, kind of went, hold on, we don't need to fucking show some fucking dude in a rubber suit that we don't have the budget to make look cool. It just maybe less is more, and that's a massive thing, because it would be such a bold decision for a studio to back a filmmaker who said that we're going to have this, and you're not really going to see the shark for about an hour and whatever. And they're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a shark movie. He's on the poster, and it's like, yeah, but we're going to show us fin, and we can't show him for more than a second and a half because it looks really bad. But like, that's the greatest mishap fucking ever. And for me, and it's well known, it totally reshaped not only the genre but fucking cinema in general, which is wild, right?
No, and it's not just that; it's the effect it had on the public in general with regards to sharks. Like, I mean, we know since like Peter Benchley's come out and said, I wish I didn't write it that way, because people all of a sudden get fucking terrified of sharks. And I think when I was talking about dangerous animals a few weeks ago, I was saying they really hammer it home that it's not fucking shark's fault. I mean, you're in its neighborhood.
It's not hunting us.
No, it's not. Whereas in this, it is. Like in this,
like
in the Jaws movies, the fucking shark is actually hunting that family. Like, it's fucking mental. I mean? It goes after his fucking kid, one of his kids in the second one. It follows his kid to fucking SeaWorld. The other one, it goes after the Bahamas and shit. The fourth one, like it's nuts. The whole
it's hiding in a bush in the fifth one.
These fucking sharks are passing word around. Watch out for the Brody clan. They're bad news. But like the effect it had, like, of people not wanting to go in the water because of this. People's view on sharks was like, Jesus, they're all fucking man-eaters. And it did I think a lot of damage to probably the environment and everything because of people's view of this. And it's mad, like, for the most part, the great white has no interest in you at all. They don't like the taste of things. Any of these, most attacks are based because of they think you're a seal or whatever the fuck it is.
Surfboard,
Yeah, like most of them, they're just not interested, and more people are killed each year by hippos, as far as I know. So like I love that, like, as you said, that it's a big mistake or a big mishap or a technical result that resulted in what it is. But in order for that to work, in order for that you don't get to see the shark to work, I don't think that works half as well without John Williams' score.
No.
Like, that
doesn't work at all.
No, and when he sent it to Spielberg, his first part of it, which was just that build up that we see in the very opening to the movie, pretty much.
Just the two notes,
and it's just building up, and it's all like it's almost like an old Gladiator movie or something. That real and it's building up, and it's like that. And he sent it to him, the first thing, of just the two notes, and he was, "You taking the piss?" He's like, "No. Trust me, it's built." And that's what we have then in the movie, is that we're kind of going, we've seen the water, we've seen bits and pieces, but then next time where someone's in the water, we might not hear it. Like when Hooper is at the small boat and stuff like that, and he finds Ben Gardner's boat, we don't hear the music then. It's tense, it's whatever else, we don't. But that shark's music is that, and that's the great thing. You can hear it really starting to come in. You're like, oh shit, something's gonna happen. Someone fuck, and it's just so good. And the times that we do get to see him, out of the water doesn't look great, but there's a great...
But it ages okay because it's practical and animatronics.
Yes, it does. But at the same
CGI, time, stop motion, it would just be...
Yeah, it still will always be the end of it. The jump, the slap onto the back of the orca is always going to look dodgy.
I think awful. That probably,
yeah. But for like there's one where he gets...
But the one with Rob or with Brody, when it comes up, that we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
That bit when it comes out of the water is fucking fantastic. And it's the editing of that, because when it comes up and it's cut just enough, just quickly enough, because someone was saying if you see it for a second or two more, the mouth kind of goes, but it opens, and then a second later it starts to kind of spaz out a bit. So they just cut it, and then they cut it straight to Brody fucking standing up, just like the look that anyone would fucking have of just like, what in the fuck was that? And I remember that shock and that fright from watching it like back in the day in VHS. And just, that was one of those where you're just, Jesus fucking Christ. And every time I'd watch it back, I never knew when that part was. It's always just like, oh, they're on the boat. Like, there's a point, or it, and it just scared the living shit out of me. But it's the first scare, and it's exactly the way you're saying, with when you hear the music, you get a sense of dread when you're in the water. When there's no music, you're kind of like, oh, it's okay, it's just they're exploring or whatever. And when you get that first scare of the head popping out, there was no music,
Yeah.
there's no shark, and just like, I'm waiting for sharks, and the fucking head popped, and like, I think that's one of the greatest movie jump scares in history, because you're not expecting anything like that. You're worried about fucking sharks. Like, after the opening scene, even when you haven't seen the fucking shark, you're terrified about this fucking shark just because of the water and the music and the thought of getting eaten by a shark. And it's like, and then they go, oh no, here's a head popping out of a fucking ship. Cunts.
I love actually the actor who played that, is because the actor actually did that, is the guy is a local, and he's the guy that they based a lot of Robert Shaw's character on. And he was saying, when he said in an interview later on, he's like, I don't know how the shark managed to bite all of me and just spit my head back into the boat. I was like, that's actually a really good point. But that, even if you talk about that opening, like that opening with the actor, Chrissy is the name of the character. Like, she, I think, was like this. She did like aqua kind of aerobics, or not aqua aerobics, Jesus, some sort of aquatic show that she did as well. And like, she put herself forward for, she's like, you put me in, I can do underwater stuff. And whereas if you get someone else, you're going to have to teach them how to be underwater for X amount of time. And so like, they had 10 dudes either side of her. I know this is famous, 10 dudes either side, pulling her back and forward. And it's just, but the most terrifying part of that is the silence. It's one part where it lets her go, and she grabs onto, and she's holding onto the bell, what's called a buoy, and she's holding onto it. And next thing, it gets her again, drags her back and forward. But there's one last thing as she's doing, and she just gets yanked under, and that's it. There's no more. And apparently Spielberg was the one who did he was there in the act. The timing is just, she's just boom, silence, and doing it at nighttime as well, like fucking terrifying. Such an incredible scene, and that's straight away from the start. You're like, I am fucking never going in the sea ever again. I'm so happy I live in Ireland.
I saw it in the cinema. I'm just like, I'm not going to make it through the fucking next 10 minutes of this fucking, like, oh my God. If you saw it, I'd love, did it come out? I'd love to know if it came out during the summer.
It was the first summer blockbuster. Yeah. Like, I mean,
you going to the beach? Fuck that.
And that's what gave, I suppose that's the second movie wasn't great, but it did give them the fantastic tagline of, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. Yeah. Fantastic tagline. Not a good movie. But because of this, like, you were able to go and see yours multiple times. I've only seen this a few times in the cinema. I go whenever it comes out. But I've seen some cool versions of it. I think one was with you. We went to see it with the live orchestra, and that was fantastic. Awesome. But I went to see it with a buddy of mine for a Jameson. When Jameson used to do their film festival stuff. And did you ever go to those live shows? You might have gone to one with me. No, I've been to a few of them, and they make it interactive. So like, we saw Die Hard, and when we went to see it, they had like a guy playing Officer Al Powell outside. They had an American squad car, and he's fucking looking up, and they had lights shine up in the building. And when you go in, and he does the different scenes, and these basically have actors doing it. And I went to see this, and they showed it, but they had different parts of it where I think we got splashed with water at one point. There's one part where they all run off the beach. And so all these extras, all these people in gear, all ran up through the middle of the aisle and stage and stuff. And then at the end, they did an interview. Richard Dreyfuss was there. And so they had a little boat, like an actual mini kind of orca kind of thing, sitting on and he got interviewed while sitting in the back of a boat. I have a couple of cool pictures of it. Just cool experience. That's good. But it's for me, everything kind of comes together so well to make it a little bit different than your standard horror, which, is, as you said, Daz, it easily could have been that had we had a fully working shark. But the score is almost whimsical at times. Like at the start, yes, you've got that real fucking menacing sharks, but when they're out in the second part of the movie, it becomes an adventure movie.
Oh, it's an adventure theme, yeah,
adventure,
absolutely.
And the music fully feeds into that. They're chasing the shark down, and it's all like
people forget that part of the music. Like they just think it's like, oh, this menacing thing. It's a very not jovial, but it's kind of like, yeah, let's go get the shark kind of music. And it's like John Williams in full pelt. But it's and it works for those scenes. But you do forget that. When I was watching it yesterday, I was just like, I forgot that part of the music that it really is just like, woohoo, let's fucking go, man. It's
Like there's, and that's it. They're smiling like he's driving the ship. Quinn's out front and he has his harpoon gun, and you see like fucking like Hooper's excited, like get another barrel ready, I'm coming around. And fucking what's his face, Brody is smiling and all the rest of it. Like you're chasing down this monster to kill it, like but you're getting this lovely upbeat music, and for some reason it just works. You know, it's completely incongruent to what they're actually doing. You know, it should be tense and look at all the rest of it, but this upbeat kind of adventure music, it just works for it. And I love that. It's and obviously John Williams, you know, scores I think would be very similar to that second part of the movie. His opening scene, the Jaws theme, if you like, you don't really hear much of that from John Williams. You know, his darkest stuff is probably, you know, the Imperial March. From Star Wars, you don't really get anything super dark from him, and I think that's why it's so cool. I think to hear it in this, absolutely love it, and like everybody in it's amazing. Like the crowd, like they can't, because they were, as you said, as the running over a certain at the time, everything was getting shot in this town, and it went on for months. So they basically became, you know, they're just part of the community. That all of the people are working there for months and months and months. They're riding rings around themselves. And I have no doubt that when the fucking thing is being rewritten each night by fucking Carl Gottlieb and Peter Benchley and thing in their little wooden cabin that they had, they were probably coked off their heads. Like this is the 80s, or sorry, the late 70s, 80s. There's fucking, you know, there's just coke and weed and everything. I say they were just absolutely off their heads.
Let's push through, man. Let's push through.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so Carl Gottlieb's actually, as we were saying, all the different people who are locals ended up starring in the movie, and Carl Gottlieb, who was one of the writers, he ended up starring in it, and he's very small part. He plays like a reporter. You see him hanging around with Mayor Larry Vaughn and Murray Appleton. He's incredible.
So good.
And we see him hanging around with him, but he has a really big part in the book, and they just wrote it down to a really small amount. Like, and even Carl Gottlieb himself was like, "That's the hardest part ever, was writing myself, basically my character." Out of the movie, but it didn't really fit, you know, it didn't work. But like what one of the locals was like a local acting coach, and that's what's her face, Lee Fierro is her name, and she plays the mother of the young boy who gets killed in probably one of the more gruesome scenes, like the blood that comes up out of the water and how they did that scene. Yeah, it's insane. And I saw an interview with him, actually, the kid, and what they had him is that they had to keep doing it because he was having trouble staying underwater. Like they're trying to show the blood and him getting pulled under, but he kept kind of floating up and stuff.
Times. Fuck.
Yeah, so they had like a dude under there with air, and they had to hold him basically down. He's like, he's going to plug you down, and they were giving him air, but it was like air, but it was like they were pumping this blood, because you've seen the movie, the blood that comes up when he gets killed. It's
vicious.
Super, like it's the most we see in the movie. But his mother was an local acting coach, and as I said, loads of different people were playing extras and parts. She said that that for years and years afterward, she'd meet people, and she said, "I don't know how many people have slapped," because they come up and say, "Slap me, fucking slap me." She doesn't know how many people have slapped, but she slapped the shit out of Roy Schneider like 20 times.
Yeah. But that scene is just, that's fantastic. Like that scene when she slaps him, it's just because you get a sense that, you know, like he's obviously the new guy in town and all that, but that he's really like he's hurting and he's not taking the easy way out. He's kind of going, shit, like I could do more here. And his progression as a fucking character, it's like all of them is fantastic, but Brody's is sublime. But like the following scene on from that, like even just like so many fantastic scenes that don't involve sharks and sharks' deaths and everything. And some of the best scenes are just people in rooms talking. Obviously, Quentin is his monologue, which is fucking etched in cinematic fucking gravitas for forever. But like scene with Brody and his son, and he's obviously there and drinking his wine and kind of moping and just kind of going, fucking feeling the weight of everything. And then the son starts to mimic him and stuff. And it's just like, and he reminds him, gets the playfulness, but then he just leans in and he just, give us a kiss, you know? And it's like, why? And it's like, because I need it. And you're just going, fucking hell. And I just forgot so many of those moments. I was writing it down last night, just going, so much in this movie. And you just, it's like, again, this is, I don't know if it's Spielberg's second movie. It was his second or third movie. He'd made Jewel and another TV movie or something, but this is his first proper big budget, like summer blockbuster or whatever, being trusted with a weighty movie. And he's just you're watching the goat at work already, like Nolan and fucking Memento. You're watching him here, and it's just masterful cinema for someone 26 so early in his career. Like, there's so many scenes like that one with Brody and his kid, but like with Hooper and Brody, and when they're trying to convince the mayor, shut down the beach or whatever. They're very
Love that. Yeah.
Like a dialogue heavy scene, but it's like Spielberg is again kind of known for his like one-er shots and like his intricate blocking and stuff like that. But you see that here where there's essentially could be like 15, 16 different shots could be in, which would normally be set up for any other director. But he's just like, no, I'm just going to do a single shot. They'll come in and the blocking, they're all constantly moving around and it's conveying who's in power in the scene, and then going over and they see the sign and it's been vandalized and all that. And it's like a sub 3 minute, like 2 hour or 2 minutes 45 seconds or something. And it's one single fucking shot, and the balls to do that, because if someone gets the blocking wrong, if someone camera department messes something up with focus or whatever, everything has to be perfect. And you can't go, oh, if it was 10 different shots and over the shoulder of, Dreyfuss, and you kind of go, oh, we'll take that take of his shot there, that other line will take three of him or whatever. It has to be one fucking thing. And that's something that a director, an established auteur would do. And you got this fucking little, essentially a kid director going, no, let's do that and let's fucking nail it, because it just the fucking confidence to do that is astonishing. And that's littered throughout the fucking movie. Like, it's just amazing to watch it. It's mad that, like, I was looking up on IMDb and their top 250 movies, because I was just thinking about this. I was like, I wonder where Jaws is, and because Jaws is so many people's favorite film of all time, and it comes especially around our age who've either saw it in VHS or whatever, and it's down as 199 and IMDb top 50, and just go, that's why it's a pile of fucking shite. Fuck that. Like, I know a lot of people think, Godfather is their favorite movie and it's number one and all that stuff, but Memento is 57, which is also a bag of shite. But like,
well, I mean, it's
just fucking.
But this is to do with
phenomenal.
taste, though. You know what I mean? This is because we're picking our favorite movies. I mean, yes, objectively, Godfather probably is a better movie because the way it's shot, the way it cast. You can definitely make the case for Godfather being a better movie, but this is my favorite because there's so much to love. As you said, to pull a successful movie out of what could have been an absolute disaster, and I'm glad that you mentioned that scene about his character when he's speaking to, I think it's Mrs. Kittner is her name, when he's speaking to her. A lesser movie would have Brody turn over his shoulder and go, this dickhead, this mayor was the one. He was the guy who wanted to keep the beach so much. I wanted to fucking close. Don't be giving out to me. Mm-hmm. But no, he feels it no matter what. Even though he was hamstrung, he still feels it's his fault. Because the mayor, the chicken shit, walks over after she's gone and goes, "I'm sorry, Martin. She's wrong." And he goes, "No, she's not." He's taking it on, even though it is fucking 100% the mayor's fault. He's taking it on, and I think it just makes him even more likable and more real. I mean, and just something so, I don't know, brave and honest about him that he just like, no, I'm the chief of police. No matter what happened, I should have made this happen, even though you told me, almost threatened them with being fired, pretty much. He still should have stuck to what he knew was the right thing to do. And yeah, I absolutely love that character. I think as I said, the differences that they have throughout are great, but I love to see when we're out on the boat and we get just before the Indianapolis speech, we get that kind of thing where they all start to finally bond together. Yeah. Where he's been just shouting orders at Hooper, and he's been, the chief basically is kind of this landlubber, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He pulls the wrong knot on the boat and all these different things. But when they start talking about, they're having their few drinks and they start talking about their scars, and as they start telling different stories, and it's fucking funny, like especially Hooper's one when he's like right there, he's like, "What is it?" And he goes, "Here." He goes, was it Mary Ellen Moffat? She broke my heart, and it's just brilliant. Like he's pissed that they're all laughing, but then it's his speech goes on from that while the lads are still in fits of laughter. That's
he
when
brings the
Robert
tone.
Shaw goes into his speech, and obviously this wasn't in the book, but like it's written by different writers and Robert Shaw as well. That they finally come up with the final thing for it, but like you can see Richard Dreyfuss looking at him doing it, and you're like, that's a real.
That's in the widescreen, because when you saw it initially in VHS back in the 80s, it was just Shaw because it was that 4:3 aspect ratio. And I remember when it was re-released, I think it was in the cinema, but then when it came out on was it VHS or widescreen VHS, when you finally figure out that those bars at the top and bottom, you're not seeing less, you're seeing more because it's fucking wide. And that's the first time I saw his scene, and maybe the sixth time you watch it, you look and you see Dreyfuss, and he looks like it's the most honest, shocked look I've ever fucking seen in my life. Like it's
blown away, because I think when he first showed up to do it, because he was pissed the whole time, Robert Shaw, and I think the first time he showed up to do it, I think he made a balls of it, like, and then he came back the next day and did it in one take, and they're just sitting there in awe of it, and like they famously didn't get on set, like he just picked on Richard Dreyfuss the whole time. But Richard Dreyfuss was saying behind closed doors, he's the nicest person in the world. He said, but once we walked out of dressing and trailers and the rest of it, straight away I was his guy, I was his pincushion. But apparently he was just an absolute gent when they were just personal to him. And
Spielberg said about that, when he was, like he said, he wasn't going to share, like, on set, like, secrets and stuff, but he said, like, he asked could he have a drink before that first thing, and Spielberg said, like, you don't do that, but he said, yeah, okay, can have a drink to loosen up, and he came back being carried by two guys back in and did the scene. But he said, I won't tell you what was said or whatever, but he was just told to, we're done for the day. But Spielberg said he rang him then when he sobered up in the middle of the night, about 4 or 5 in the morning, sobered up, and rang Spielberg and was apologizing, saying, sorry, like, I hope I didn't embarrass you yesterday. Like, he wasn't worried about, like, if he embarrassed himself or anything like that. His first thought was, like, I hope it didn't embarrass you. And this is like an old fucking statesman actor talking, like, to a 26-year-old almost first-time director, and it's just like Spielberg said, that's the man I knew, and that's the man I grew to love. And, like, he was difficult in set and this and that, but that's the measure of his character, and it's just, that's fucking brilliant. But, like, that speech,
we might. I mean, we're getting close to pushing, but I'm going to end up talking about this for the rest of the technical difficulties and everything else. But let's finish up by talking about this speech, because I think that monologue is the best monologue in any movie. I'm got, like, even whatever I say about any other movie being better than this or worse than this, or I just think that monologue just stands out as the best. It's absolutely incredibly impeccably acted. It conjures up the mental image of it, and the terror it conjures up is unbelievable. And to see, I remember seeing a documentary years ago where they had interviews with survivors of the Indianapolis talking about it, and they were talking about how touched they were that they put this into the movie, and they talked about it because so many of them didn't have the words to talk about it because it was so horrible. Imagine that, they waiting for your turn to die. And I think they gave it a little bit more emphasis on how many people died and
from sharks and stuff. I think the sharks were feeding on dead bodies, but it's still terrifying, but in the water with sharks.
But a lot of people didn't know the story around Indianapolis and stuff, so it was to kind of, I think a lot of them were not delighted, but they were kind of honored that people were starting to, or could understand the harrowing difficulties that they went through, because none of them spoke about it afterwards. But that speech, I'm getting goosebumps now. Like, as we're talking, like, just talking about the speech that I have seen a billion times. It's just so incredibly delivered. And
there's so much weight. There's so much weight behind it. Like, it's the pauses, it's the delivery, it's the, like, black eyes, doll's eyes, and where he kind of smirks up, and it's just so much fucking just weight and history behind it. You just I can't believe, and it makes sense that I think the initial thing was like 10 pages, and he just edited it down himself to 5 pages or whatever. But it's 1,000,000,000% believably lived by him when you're watching it.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got Lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, doesn't seem to be living.
It's just it's absolutely astonishing, and it's a testament that like that's in any other movie that would be the fucking absolute pinnacle, but it's just surrounded by so much mastery. Like, and same with Memento, we were talking about. It's just in every department, bar the fucking monster design, electrics, everything. To have like even a movie like this, which could have been a B movie, monster movie, to have these three iconic fucking roles played by three impeccably brilliant, like amazing actors delivering, like astonishing. It's astonishing work. Like
it really is.
And 50 years on, it's still. I watched it yesterday and I was just still riveted. Just going, it's just fucking phenomenal. Like,
yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible piece of history and of art, and it's great that it's it's so many pop culture references. 50 years later, everybody knows. You can just go and everybody straight away. You know exactly what it is. So many people know it's been used to death, homages to it, and all obviously rip-offs and stuff. But yeah, no, it's an incredible movie. It's my favorite. I can't imagine a time where I'll ever get sick of it. I'm sick of watching it. If I had to watch it every day, no problem at all.
So cool.
But yeah, I think that was a good fun way to celebrate our 100 episode. I think having a yap about our two favorite movies.
It's good, actually.
Yeah. It's great to say these things out loud to someone rather than me sitting in my house going, "This is amazing," again for the millionth time. It's nice to have it talking out loud.
Cathartic.
Yeah. But I suppose, for those of you at home, I reiterate what I said at the start. Like, I would be interested to know what you think of our two picks, but also what are your favorite movies? It could be something we haven't seen yet. Like, I went for the 250 before the top 250 to see, and I had seen the vast majority, but there was a few I hadn't seen. But maybe there's some gems out there that you people like that we don't know about. So please, 100%. Because I think that used to be the way with me and you, Daz, as well. Like, we'd send each other links to little gems that we find
that you'd see and find. Check this out, and just like, fucking hell, didn't even hear that. And it's kind of nice when you when something you haven't even fucking thought of or seen, and just go, this gem from fucking 1992 or something. Mystery Man. If you haven't seen Mystery Man, check it out. 1999.
I love that movie.
It's such a good movie.
It's such a great movie. Okay, well, look, why don't we finish it up there? Thank you, everybody, for sticking around for 100 episodes. You're absolute legends. If you keep on liking, subscribing, doing all that stuff, we really appreciate it. And yeah, here's to another 100. So listen, take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Ciao.